What's going on, everyone? This is my Cross RC Ironbull, a 1/8 scale tractor. Obviously larger than the typical scale you see tractors in, but I did an initial review video on this, and in that video I also built myself an implement, which was a tow-behind sprayer that was functional and remote operable, worked out pretty well. I had fun with it, and because of that I want to do more. So I've got the Ironbull back on the bench today, and I actually have a actual project that I feel like I should do in an inefficient way around the house. And that is, I need to clear an area that I've got in the backyard of some tan bark. And I could do it much faster and quicker with regular hand tools, but I want to use at least partially my Ironbull. So what I'm doing today is I'm constructing a rear blade setup for this. A typical drop blade type design. While, building one up front might be possible, you can actually buy a plow for these up front, but it's more like a snow plow version, and I just didn't feel like that would probably be the most ideal for what I have got going on here. So I decided to work on the design of something that was fairly simple, but I also overcomplicated at the same time. And that's what I want to show you now. This tractor is not short on mass at all. It's also four-wheel drive and locking differential. So it has a ton of power, and I think that for what I want to tackle, that's going to work out really well. Now on the back here, it's got a regular kind of pin style hitch setup, and that's really it. Now for this design, I am deciding to use 3D printing for the most part. And I'm gonna test it, and then if in the end the 3D printing doesn't hold up, then I can go to some like laser cut steel from Send Cut Send. But for now, 3D printing. For the design, I want to have a simple boom that comes back and then a linear actuator that will lift and lower the blade. The tilting action I'm going to do in a manual way, but just keeping that extra simple, at least until I prove the concept of this before going forward. I'm going to need to install a separate ESC to actuate the linear actuators. These work as a regular like 12-volt style they have a hard stop in them. So once they reach the full limit of the stroke, they will stop pushing. They've got some nice electronics inside to do that. Now I bought 2 of these, and I'm gonna decide to, or at least go forward with using them both at this point. I'm gonna use this rear hitch as the swivel point, but I needed to make sure that it was, kind of better supported than just trying to wedge something in there. So I came up with a small adapter here, and this is perfectly fit to the inside of this shape and the width and all that. And that's because I took and I used my Creality Raptor Pro to 3D scan this whole rear section of this vehicle, just so that I could simplify the design process for me. Only took me 5 or 10 minutes. I had a decent scan that I could then design from for there. So this piece will actually just slide right in. It does take a little bit of force to get in there, but that was the purpose. I wanted it to be a tight fit. I've printed everything out of Bamboo's ABS glass fiber on my Bamboo H2D. This has become one of my favorite materials. It's very strong, it's super rigid, and it just prints so well. It's got such a nice finish to it. That is going to fit inside of there. And then I've got this piece here, and this is going to be the rear boom portion. This fits nice and snug over top of that piece that slides into that hitch. And that's going to give us a point to be able to rotate the plow up and down. I'm gonna run this thing, see if we have any failure points, and then I can redesign from there if needed. I just kind of tried to take the get it done process, and then, later on down the road, we can troubleshoot as needed. So that will get me the mounts and the locations for this. And then I have got my plow already designed. So also ABS glass fiber. I added some ribbing across the back to try and give it some extra depth without just printing it wild thick. From there, I need to do some disassembly of the tractor because I need to get inside so I can add another ESC, which I'm just going to use a very basic takeout ESC from some RTR that I removed the electronics from at some point. And then I need to get my radio all programmed as well. I'm running this on my FlySky G11P. It's worked really well. So I've got to just get everything set up, programmed so that I can do that. And then we should be able to take this thing outside. This should be a pretty quick project. What could go wrong?
Excellent. Okay, well then, lay it on me.
I got the blade mocked up onto the back. Everything went pretty much like I expected it to, as far as I designed it in CAD and whatnot. I designed with mainly M5 hardware, something, you know, strong, beefy, that I didn't feel like the 3D print would better support. It's got a tiny bit of movement because I had to design some tolerance into pieces to let them fit, but I think that will probably be just fine. Now, I have both actuators in the furthest out position. At this point, I'm going to cycle them up with my power supply just to see that. I just reversed the polarity on this. I designed this for the down position, and I didn't really calculate where the up position would be, so we're gonna see that now. Goes up far enough. It's starting to hit the actuators right there. I could probably have left some additional, or is it hitting? Yeah, it's starting to touch, it looks like. I need to get the cab pulled off so I can get to the electronics, add that additional ESC, make sure I get it wired in, and get the wiring done for this, program the radio, and then we can test. So when I did the rear sprayer mod, I ran that servo extension back to run the servo that was inside of it. And I forgot that I actually already ran myself an auxiliary one as well. So thank you to past me, I totally forgot. I found just a regular Hobbywing 1060 ESC that I had in a box from a takeout of some sort. But what I need to do now is I need to get this plugged into that auxiliary channel. I need to get it mounted in here where it doesn't interfere with how the cab goes on or block, you know, the heat sinks of the existing ESCs that are in there. And then I need to get the power wired into one of these existing plugs so that it gets power from the battery. Not a big deal there. And then I'll run a pigtail off of the previous motor wires to the back where I can tie into these linear actuators. And that gets me all wrapped up. It's functional, it's ready to run. I'm gonna print a couple of spacers just to make things fit and angle exactly how I want on the rams themselves. But that's a super simple little thing and nothing to worry about. I've got it programmed on the G11P and I've got everything on here. So I've got my lights on one button, and then I've got my 2-speed on the next, and I've got front locker, rear locker. And then I've got the plow now on this 3-position switch here on the radio. So in the up position, it will move up, and down, it will move down. In the middle position, it will just stop wherever it's at. So right now it's in the middle. I can go down and then just stop it by going to the middle position. Same, and go up. Or I can just leave it up and it'll go all the way. So back to middle and it will still stay there. Simple little deal. Like I said, the thing has limit switches on the inside, which makes that wildly easy on my side of things. But now it's ready to run. I'm gonna go move some tan bark. Let me know if you think the 3D printed ABS glass fiber is going to hold up on this. I'm interested myself. So I'm having way too much fun already. It's working quite well. Dragging the tan bark over, making our way. It's a slow process, but you know, big projects are. I also decided to grab the skid loader, which I had recently switched over to this Fly Sky. And this is the ST16, which is just such a nice radio. So I've got everything on the twin stick now rather than the other radio. So have the mixing on the right stick for the bucket and all of the movement of the skid steer on the left. So we'll do some detail work with the skid steer, trying to get the bulk of it done with the tractor. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to play around with the skid steer a little bit more before calling my progress on this area for tonight good enough. Not too mad about this at all. Oh yeah, the goal for this area is to put down something different than tan bark, so that's why I'm just dragging it all off to the side, and then I'll get it all scooped out and taken away. So I have to say, the rear plow, a lot of fun. I'm gonna make one revision at this point, try that out. But if you guys have any suggestions on the next implement to do, let me know. Hit the subscribe button, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. See you on the next one.